Hey, happy Friday, everybody. It's Rick Carter with Delmarva Craft and CNF Worldwide, continuing our series about surviving COVID. We're here with Mr. Charlie Copeland, who's one of the co-founders and owners of Bayheads Brewing in beautiful, I mean, seriously beautiful Chesapeake City, Maryland. Charlie, how's it going, man?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Good, really good. Good to see you guys the other day. Happy anniversary, 3 years since you opened the tasting room, man. That really flew by, didn't it?
Yeah, yep. It's crazy. It's been 3 years, man.
So for the people who aren't really familiar with your brewery, because we're going to fan this thing out all over, the East Coast here, is give us a little background on how you guys, some, high school buddies decided down the road a few years you were going to open a brewery. What made you guys decide to, get into the beer business?
Right. So we were homebrewers, and my buddy and I, we grew up together. We'd always talked about starting a business, and we actually, both went to college and always stayed connected, always really good friends. It was funny because we were both homebrewing and had no idea. And then one day it was like, we started talking about it and both found out we were like homebrewers. So then we, started homebrewing together, and, one thing led to another, and it was like, this is our hometown. There is no brewery here. We'd always talked about starting a business together. We started to look into it, entered some competitions, that type of thing. And, eventually we decided to go for it. So it's one of the best decisions that, I've made. So it's great. I love brewing beer, and it's great to be part of like a local community like this too, like a small town.
Must be feel really cool to be the hometown beer guys, man. Like
Yeah.
Right there where you grew up and you opened this place. Like, so you guys opened a few years ago, and you're opening a shopping center right along 213 on the eastern shore of Maryland. And I got to stop for a second and jump in here and say, this is brought to you by Bayheads. I got my Canaltown IPA here. I've got my East Pour Up the Shore glass here for when we finally get that festival off the ground here after all the COVID delays. And Charlie and the guys at Bayheads are part of our festival. But back to the point. So you guys started in the retail location right along the highway. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the upper eastern shore of Maryland, Chesapeake City is a historic town, been there for hundreds of years. It's right along the C&D Canal. Really beautiful old houses that have been restored in the shopping district and good restaurants. And the point I'm getting to is you guys have bought a building and are in the process of renovating, and your new tasting room is going to be right downtown in the middle of the historic area.
Yeah, so when we first started, unfortunately, we wanted to be in the downtown area, but unfortunately, there just wasn't any opportunity, and there was no buildings. There just wasn't anything available. And we had a really good relationship with the mayor at the time, who brought us. We're still part of town limits, but we were just kind of right on the outskirts a little bit. And there's a shopping center here off of the main highway 213, like right when you cross the canal bridge. The Chesapeake and Delaware Canal bridge. So we set up shop here. We have a 1,500 square foot facility. Half of it's for brewing. The other front half is our tap room. And then, over time, we always kept our eye down there in downtown because that's where all the events are. That's where all the walk-in traffic is. It was a good starting point here, especially since, we started so small, we're self-funded. Like a shoestring budget, and we wanted to kind of see what we had, and we knew we could grow. But when we found that we had that opportunity downtown, that building came up. It's one of the older buildings in town. It's got a lot of significance to the town because different families have owned it over the years, and there's been small businesses there that have, hired local people. There's just a lot of memories for a lot of locals. So when that building came available, we jumped on it and were able to acquire it, and that's going to become our new tavern. So we're still going to stay in our current location for the time being for brewing only, and then when we get moved into the new location, it'll be a tavern. We have a full liquor license now. We'll still be a brewery and beer first, but it'll be nice to be able to have some whiskeys and some craft wines and different things like that for people that come in that are with significant others that don't, drink beer. We get a lot of that here, especially in a tourist like historic tourist town. And then, the other nice thing is we'll have a kitchen, so we'll have some food. And we're positioned really well. We're on the main road coming into town and the main road coming out. So we're really excited about that. I know one of the next questions you're going to ask is going to be when are you opening? And everybody asks that question. We're doing all the work ourselves, so it's we want to do it right. We're taking our time to do it right, and we're hopeful for summer. But as you know, with construction, things can pop up.
So you guys have a lot going on and a lot of optimism and a lot of really cool stuff for the future. I'm going to wind you back a year now. And so coming up on your 2-year anniversary in March of 2020, and honestly, you'd been into it for 3 years with, getting the building and the build out and the brew house and everything. So you had 3 years of sweat and effort. And like you said, self-funded, your own money tied up into it. And then the possibility of this downtown location is coming and you're like, all right, man, things are cranking. We're going to get some stuff done. And then all of a sudden, bam, something that none of us could have planned for, because it stopped us dead in our tracks too, is COVID. And then the beer business, your business, my business, it's all about bringing people together. It's about being social and having camaraderie and having a good time. And all of a sudden, that's the last thing we're supposed to be doing. So when you started hearing about this virus overseas and it was making its way here, and a lot of people have told me, well, I didn't take it too seriously at first. But then when that day came and you and Bill were there going, holy crap, this is going to be big. When it dawned on you what it was going to mean, what was that like? What were you guys thinking that day?
Yeah, it definitely, I think anybody that owns a small business, not just a brewery, would say it was probably like, damn, what are we going to do now? So it was kind of a shock. It was kind of like the smart businesses, I feel, adapt, and you have to, sometimes you have to think on your feet. It's not to be reactionary, but you got to kind of, think out what decisions are we going to make that are good for the short term? How long could this be? We kind of felt it out a little bit, but immediately we were not canning up to that point. We had our tap room, we had growlers to go. We immediately bought a can seamer from October Canning, and started canning beers to go, because we really had no other option. It was either growlers to go or so we started doing that. And luckily, I can just say that we had a local crowd, our local supporters, our regulars, if you want to call them that, Mug Club members, like they just all kind of really stepped up. And if it wasn't for them coming to us frequently, and the whole community trying to support local, if it wasn't for that, we would have been in trouble. But luckily, they were here to help support us, and they got us through that. So I can't say enough about the locals, our regulars, the whole small support local and stuff. It was the movement definitely helped kick in a little bit, and it showed how powerful it was, because people were really coming out. Whereas I know not everybody is that lucky. So I know that we were really lucky to be able to help get through this. And luckily, like I said, we were self-funded. So it's not like I was sitting here on a lot of debt, and, that definitely plays a role in it. But yeah, so it was definitely a WTF type of moment.
See, we like you are fortunate. We're frugal people. We're not sitting on any debt either. So it was basically, we could go into a cocoon and basically say, we're just going to stand down for as long as we got. And then when the things start to loosen up, I'll be back on the screen with Charlie going, okay, let's start making stuff happen. So okay, once you started making your decisions about the pandemic and you started getting into it, over the next few months, what would you say in the past year has been the biggest challenge that you guys have been presented with during all this?
Well, getting people to come out, regardless of, we've been setting up outside, the landlord and the town and liquor board, everybody is open to like, hey, set up outside. You can do whatever you need to do out there. The biggest problem is just trying to get people to come out, even with like those types of measures in place, which is understandable. People have the right to, if they don't feel comfortable, they shouldn't come out, So I would say that, and, then when things are happening, people want to be in town, especially when that weather turns.
Yep.
So it's hard to get them to come out of that downtown area to our location. So, you know, so, yeah, that's been the toughest battle, but that's why we're excited about getting into the downtown area, because, you know, we'll be able to capitalize on that walking traffic.
So did this situation present you with some new opportunities that maybe you wouldn't have thought of yet had it not been for the COVID pandemic?
So, I mean, the only thing I'll say is I'll kind of go back to canning. We were going to can, and that was always in our plan to start canning beers, but it kind of just sped it up, you know? So it was like, you know, this has to happen now, sooner than later, you know?
Gotcha. So other than, so I won't press you again for a date for when you're going to open downtown. In the future of Bay Heads Brewing, what do you guys see as the growth arc here in the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
Well, I mean, we have that new location down the street. That's really where all our efforts are going to be, and getting down there and getting open and seeing what, you know, what that's like, and hopefully things will start to open back up. That's going to give us a much bigger picture on where our future is. We're very excited, and we know going into that downtown area, our projections and our, you know, optimism and our outlook, it's going to be huge for us.
I think it's nothing but a win down there. I mean, it's going to be great for you guys. So I'm going to project out for you. So as you get downtown there and you get a lot more foot traffic that you don't get from where you're at now,
yep,
and the success grows, do you see an arc here over the next few years where your brew house operation grows and you guys are expanding what you have there and cranking out more beer?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's the best part, is once we're downtown, this production area, we're almost going to double in size. So we'll be able to add more fermenters, and where we're just restricted on space right now. So we're only able to pump out so much beer. It's restricted because of our size limitation right now with wholesale, everything. It's kind of just, you know, we're only able to pump out so much to supply this tap room and to supply some of the local restaurants and bars just in town alone. So it'll give us a huge opportunity to expand our operations too.
I'm going to bug you hopefully later this year, or if not by the spring of next year when we get this place open in Rock Hall, because I want to rotate some 600 stuff in here. Because that's, I mean, you talked about it as you expand and you have, like, you know, liquor and cocktails and craft wine and stuff. That's going to be our whole ethos here. We're only going to be selling Eastern Shore beers, wines, spirits, and then selected friends from other places who have been supportive of our efforts. We certainly want to get you guys on the taps here too, man. You know, we're trying to promote a tourism economy over here. And for people who aren't familiar with what we're doing, 10 years ago on the Upper Eastern Shore, which I define as from the Chesapeake Bay Bridge to the Pennsylvania state line, there were 0 breweries. There were none. There was 1 winery at Casanelli's, which is no longer, but now there are 4 in the space of Chestertown, just up to just below you guys. And from Kent Island up to the border in Cecil County, we've got 10 breweries. So there's like a critical mass of really continually improving quality of liquid that's being produced over here. And we're starting to introduce people to it, doing the tours and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's amazing how many people even in Baltimore are not familiar with what's happening over here, are not even familiar with Chesapeake City and Chestertown and these cool old towns that are over here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, get in your car and drive across the bridge. And when you cross the bridge, you can turn left, because there's actually people that live up this way. They're not all at the beach, right? They come up and see Charlie and Bill in Chesapeake City. So before we close out here, man, I'm really glad to see that you guys are doing well. The entire Upper Shore scene seems to have survived pretty well. We don't have any casualties, so knock wood, things are going to go well. So before we close out, man, any last words? Anything you want to tell the good people who end up seeing this about your brewery and your town, and why they should scoot on over to see you?
Well, probably the same thing I always say. That's drink local. Drink local, support your local brewery. it goes a long way.
Mhm.
Even a single can goes a long way. And then, yeah, I mean, the Eastern Shore, it's a hidden gem as far as I'm concerned for people that don't know about it. There's water everywhere. There's, like nightlife everywhere. Even our town alone, you think about it, Chesapeake City is such a small town. And I think we have 6 bars and restaurants in town. Once we're in town, that'll make 6.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a lot in a little small town like that. And that creates a lot of, a fun night, fun environment for people to come stay and hang out, So.
Oh, and the thing is, you mentioned 6, but I think I've been in almost all of them. We're not talking like 6 dives. We're talking about 6 places that are quality.
Yep.
House and the Chesapeake Inn and Schaefer's and Prime 225, and you guys get open. These are places you'd be proud to go to no matter what town you were in.
Yep.
Really good quality of everything pretty much in the town. So Charlie, thank you for taking a few minutes out of your, what I know is a very busy schedule, to talk to us. Much continued success with Bayheads. And you know me, I'll be camped out on your front door when you get ready to open.
Thank you for having me.
If there's good craft beer, I'm there, man. So if you got any, before we let you go, you got any spoilers for us? You got what super duper new beer are you guys concocting now that I'm going to have to come get?
Well, yeah. So I know you had that pink guava fruit beer that we had on tap. That was an experiment that we're messing with. We're actually working with the Chesapeake Inn because they want a seasonal release to go on tap on their tiki bar from spring to fall, and they want something that's kind of exclusive to them. So that was kind of part of that experiment. I think we're going to use the pink guava, and we're just experimenting with different hops to try to find the right pairing and something that they're happy with. So we'll definitely, over the next month or two, we're going to be pumping out a couple different experimental batches using that. So that's definitely something we got. We have our first Fridays every first Friday of the month. We do a beer release. We have the Woodfire Pizza here, and most of the time we have live music as well.
So first Fridays. So I got to go to Chesapeake Inn to get the pink guava. But yeah, if you need, if as you're doing all these experiments, if you need a super experienced nose and palate, these things for you.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm trying to, the first Friday in April, I will most likely have the second experimental batch out, and then we're also releasing our Pilsner that day as well. So.
What time should I be there?
Yeah. We open at 12 on Friday, so you're here whenever.